All right, we're good to go.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Fireside chat with two luminaries of the transformation topic, Monica Graham and Adam Seltzer. Welcome today to our panel discussion, or actually Fireside chat. Now, before I let them talk, I just want to do a little bit of a blurb about them because I get a sense that they probably would undersell their accomplishments. So Monica is the Deputy Chair and Board Director at, is it AusTTA? Do you call it that, or is it AusTTA?
No, AusTTA. It's lovingly known as, yeah.
AusTTA. And you're going to have to explain to us also what podium assets are in your day job when you introduce yourself. Looking forward to your insights on transformation and turnarounds. And then Adam Seltzer, OAM, is the Executive Chair of Whitewater TX Transformations and Chair of Teradata EMEA Advisory Board. So Adam was awarded the Order of Australia Medal for services to charity in 1988 and has won the Transformation of the Year Award from 2011 to 2016. So quite accomplished, both of you, in transformation. I am sure that we're going to learn a lot from both of you through this session. So before we kick off on the chat, could I get you guys, maybe starting with Monica, to just introduce yourself a bit? What interests you about transformation in your experience? Why do you think that you've kind of been drawn to it? And then finally, a quick fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, sure, Wen. Thanks for the introduction. So it's a really transformation is one of those things that I think is just so challenging. You know, it's one of those areas, you know, where you kind of jump in and you're like, wow, there's so much diversity. You know, you're never ever bored in your job. You know, there's so much going on, and it can be actually really impactful as well. So that's what I really love about transformation. And in my current role, you know, within Podium Asset Services, which is actually part of Lendlease. So we actually launched Podium in August last year, and we actually held what was called an Autonomous Building Summit as well. So my role there is focused on how we can actually transform the building and construction industry. And for those that know the building and construction industry, it's well in need of transformation. So it's super duper exciting and super duper challenging as well. So it's one of those things that I think, you know, transformation leaders are kind of, you know, you're either made for it or you're not, I guess. You know, it's not for the faint-hearted. So I absolutely love doing transformation type activities. In terms of fun fact, I don't know why I did this, but I decided to join a run group earlier this year and managed to sign up to a marathon training group. So I'm signed up to Canberra Marathon, which I'm extremely nervous about, but yeah, it's going to be quite fun, I'm sure. But that's going to be after Easter. So if anyone else is doing Canberra Marathon, feel free to reach out to me. Love to see you there. Yeah, that's my fun fact.
That may be fun after the fact.
Yeah, fun after the fact. Exactly.
Yeah.
When I'm celebrating.
Yes.
I'm playing We Are the Champions.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm based in Sydney. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Monica. And Adam, a little bit about yourself, your background, what charitable actions were you awarded for, and an extra fun fact about yourself, please. Have we lost him?
Yeah, I've just lost Adam, so I'm just working on getting him back now. So bear with us a minute while we work on that, but maybe...
This is just so Adam. He's all about the entrance, you know. He's just going to make an entrance. It's just going to be like, pow, you know. So this does not surprise me. Look, I might, while we're waiting for Adam, I'll just talk a little bit about Adam, if you don't mind. I've known Adam for about 4 years now. I was fortunate to meet Adam, in a coffee shop, actually. We connected via LinkedIn and actually met in a coffee shop. And some of the key things that I really loved, from meeting Adam was, one of the first things he said to me was, Monica, talk to me about your experiences. And he said, Monica, you're a transformer. You're a transformational leader. And I went, wow. oh, am I really? That's interesting. You know, I never really saw myself as that, you know, at that point in time. You know, I knew I'd been doing a lot of transformation and a lot of transformation activities, but I never really understood this whole transformation leadership and you know, transformation profession, I guess. So that was a massive eye opener for me. So Adam's one of those people that is really grounded. You know, he's really what you see is what you get. He's got an amazing amount of experience. He's basically delivered, you know, over 150 transformation activities. He's worked across the world, UK, Asia, Australia. He's even had some fun in Asia as well. He's worked with some massive organisations, worked for and with, you know, massive organisations, Royal Mail UK, Half the Sky in China, Denani in Russia, British Telecom Asia, Disneyland, Hong Kong, Visa, ANZ, Foster's, Telstra, General Motors. That's just some of them. You know, there's heaps more on the list. So yeah, this fireside chat's going to be a really good one. So it looks like we've got Adam. So Adam, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think I'll go home now. I think the main thing I'd like to say is that transformational leaders, you are or you're not.
Yeah.
And what happens is you end up doing a transformation, and then you find you like it, and you end up doing it again and again, and it gets addictive. And I talk about the fact that you become a challenge junkie once you follow this environment. So yeah, it's great. It's the best job in the world, and I'll talk more about that in the chat. Fun fact. I was a theatre director and then a film director, and I had long hair and, you know, earrings and all those sorts of things. So it's been a long journey. So and I had a motorbike that I fitted out so it looked like a police bike. So it was great. When I sort of shot down the road, everyone got out of the way. So yeah, so it's been an interesting journey to where I am now.
See, Adam's clearly not disappointing, making an entrance. You know, telling us he was a film director, and now he's a transformation expert now, and a chief transformation officer. So, Adam, look, absolutely amazing to have you here. You know, I really can't wait to, you know, for you to share some more pearls of wisdom with us. But you know, what I'd love you to talk about today to kick us off, you know, is really, you know, what you think some of the biggest challenges are today, you know, for transformation leaders.
So I've been following the summit through the day, and I'd like just quickly to talk about what transformation is not, because there is a lot of time transformation and change are interchanged, and disruption is they get confused. So what I'd like to do is to talk about what it isn't, and what it isn't is it's not an HR-led change management program that's focusing on new skills or new culture. It isn't adding a digital layer to a handful of digital platforms, you know, to existing businesses. And transformation isn't squeezing additional efficiencies out of an organization without really some efficiency. Quite a few people talked about downsizing. Downsizing only makes sense if it's leading to something that is transformative. And the other thing that it's not is innovation theater. And we get a lot of corporate involvement in accelerators and innovation labs and running hackathons. That's not transformation. So what is transformation? Transformation is, in my definition, a significant, lasting, non-reversible change to a company's business or operating model. So we're talking a much bigger picture, the transformation of an organization or a major department. So one is that, you know, transformation is the reinvention of an organization. And then the challenges, given that you are lifting up and carrying an organization to a future that is different to where it is today. The first one is maintaining and accelerating the pace of change post-COVID. And people think things are going to slow down, and all the indications are that they're going to actually speed up. And so you've got some companies that are sort of waiting for it to end to go back to where they were before. And you've got other companies that are saying, what a great opportunity to a new future. The other thing that's happening post-COVID, which is a significant challenge to transformational leaders, is managing the wave of mergers and consolidations that are coming towards us. I've the privilege of working in many different countries at the moment, and most organizations are doing several things. One is that they are heading towards significant downsizing, even the very successful ones. They're moving in robotics, they're moving in AI, and reducing their dependency on humans. And the other one is that they're moving into an aggressive phase of merger and consolidation. And the other thing is finally helping not just ourselves take organizations through this change, but build the capabilities inside organizations, build the tools. And it's, yes, the book that was just talked about is great, but there's actual tools that are needed: strategic workforce planning, full SaaS system, so the front line is connected to the board. There's a lot of things that need to come in to be able to take these companies into the future. Transformational leaders have a different set of challenges. So that's the challenge of transformation. But transformational leaders have a challenge because you've got, if I can quickly define a transformational leader versus an operational leader. In all our organizations that we're working with, is that you'll find that most of them are operational leaders. They're people that get excited with a 2%, 3%, 2%, 5% improvement. A transformational leader, of which we all are, we don't get excited unless there's a 30% plus change involved. Now, these are very different skill sets. And as transformational leaders, what I see is, as we're going forward, is our biggest challenges are communication, 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 as many of my colleagues have already said, and communication again. And not just us communicating out, but frontline communicating to the board as well as downwards. So it's upward communication as well. The other thing that is a major challenge for us right now and going forward is risk management. And the problem with risk management is that most C-suites and boards view their roles as being risk aversion. And you cannot drive transformation without a different risk profile, different risk management. And to do that, there's a lot of work to be done. And if you're looking for best practices here, those people working in established companies, look at companies that are backed by private equity. The board and the C-suite there have got the right risk management tools and attitudes to go forward. And finally, for transformational leaders, challenges that we're facing is alignment and focus for a long journey, because you never get to the end of transformation. And especially in this new world we're going into, it's going to be endless. And to keep the energy going and the excitement going is the challenge we face. Sorry about that.
Adam, I think you raised some really good points. It's a bit echoey there. Isaac, great. Okay, that's better. So Adam, just really keen to explore, I think you've raised some really good points, but you talked about communication, you talked about risk management, you talked about, top down, bottom up sort of alignment, to name a few things that you mentioned. Really keen to understand, bringing all these together, from your personal experience, which is so varied and so, deep and wide, I guess, and global. It'd be really good to hear about, what you would say, is your greatest accomplishment in transformation and why. Be great for you just to talk to us about that.
As you mentioned, I've done about 150 of these, and I've specialized in multi-country, multi-business unit significant change. And for me, where you're going to do transformation, it's not to do with the boardroom. It's only to do with the front line. is the front line different, behaving differently, thinking differently, engaged differently? And when you're talking about many thousands of people in that situation, each one of those is an individual that has to be caught and engaged on this movement forward.
Yeah.
So the big thing is stakeholder management and communication linked together. And if I can give you just a couple of sort of, I don't know, war stories, examples of where these things work. One of my favorite ones is an organization called Half the Sky in China. And they, in China, orphanages are ghastly places. They're places where female handicapped and multi-handicapped babies are left. And they're put in these orphanages, and you've got thousands of them throughout China. And they are really, I don't want to get too detailed, but they're really horrible. Their kids are strapped down and just left. Half the Sky, there was a woman, American woman, who adopted one of these multi-handicapped children, and actually she blossomed and turned into a lovely girl. So she went back into China and set up outside orphanages a caring environment. So each morning, the women that she employed from the local villages would go in, take the children out, and touch them and love them and hold them each day and give them loving. So where we were brought in, they had 51 of these installations, 1,200 women caring for these children, taking them out each morning, taking them back at night. And the Chinese government said, this is a great idea. We want to do it in every orphanage in China. And we want to have in thousands of them. And we want to move from your 1,200 people to hundreds of thousands. And we want to do it in the next 2 years. So we had to take Half the Sky and move it from being a service provider very quickly to being a trainer and quality control organization at scale. So that's the type of reinvention of business model that's quite exciting. The Royal Mail was, because you mentioned it, was also another one that was, its sheer size was interesting. It was 160,000 people, 1,400 quasi-autonomous units. And it was heading into IPO, and it was run by unions. And it had no control in this head office. And the new CEO, a lady from Canada, came in, getting ready for float, and she had 23 strategic initiatives, and she asked the right question, saying, I don't believe we're able to implement this in this environment. How can we implement these things? So again, the thinking process, what we did was we went to the front line and talked to the people as to what their needs were. And we gave them tools so that they could operate better, easier, solving their problems. Embedded in those tools was visibility from head office and the ability to start to see what things were going on, which they didn't have before. So again, it's always bottom up in terms of if you get the bottom right, everything works. I'll just give you one more just fun case study was Russia. My client actually can talk about this because we've done lectures on it, was Danone Russia. And they bought a large organization with one of the oligarchs. And the oligarchs had created this organization at the end of a gun. They'd basically gone round to the different cooperatives in Russia and bought them at the end of a gun. And I mean this quite seriously. I spoke to one of the people that sold to them. And I said, what was it like when they came and bought you, your big 3,000 person collective? And he said, well, they came to us and they said, we want to buy you. And the guy said, I'm sorry, we already sold to someone else. And they said, no, you're going to sell to us for half the price. And he said, go away. And they said, no, we'll start with your youngest and we'll end with you.
Oh, Adam.
So, yeah, so tough people. And so what we had to do was, altogether there's about 14,000 people. It was run by 600 secret police. And when I did my analysis, if we could remove the secret police, these people had never been integrated and would be integrated and be very happy, and a good company could come out of it when we got rid of the secret police. And then what we found was actually there were 15 people that were holding the secret police together that we had to get rid of. And then from that, we could untangle and then bring it all back together. So interesting times. I mean, it's
wow.
But just listening to all the people talk, all transformations go through the same thing. And it's really interesting just how common it is. So one of the things that Monica knows is a pet hobby of mine is improving the professionalism of transformational people, which is what AusTTA is a gathering of professional transformational people. The same way you have the College of Surgeons, it's trying to create the same thing for transformation, where what we're getting is people that are come through and we improve our skills and have proper capabilities, and there's training that we're developing, so that this hugely important skill of transformation is something that is developed, as opposed to something that we fall into and learn by experience. There's actually a lot more that we can teach each other and improve the industry. So my pet hobby horse.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Isaac, it's doing. To the echo. Cool, thank you. Look, Adam, I think you're right about AusTTA, and I think what I'd love you to share with everyone is for those that don't know, Adam actually founded AusTTA. He also founded Asia TTA, which is, and for those that, so Australian Transformation Turnaround Association is AusTTA, and ATTA is Asia. So, and I know that you've got plans as well, Adam, to expand more broadly across the UK and Europe as well. So it'd be great if you could share with everyone, why you decided to set this up. And you've talked a little bit about why people should get involved, but it'd be great for you just to talk about, the journey you went on and just share with everyone at the summit. I think Adam's muted, Isaac.
Okay, am I online now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd sold my business to PwC and was running PwC People and Change in Asia and with some global responsibilities. And I got invited to a couple of organizations that were trying to set up. There's the TMA, which is the Turnaround Management Association out of the US, and the IFT, the Institute for Turnaround out of the UK, and they're trying to set up in Asia. And I went to their meetings, and they're full of liquidators. And I said, this is not what I understand transformation to be. They're all liquidators here talking about liquidation. And they said, well, there's no transformation people in Asia. And I said, well, I'm one, and I know lots of my friends are ones. And they said, well, and so I said, I couldn't cope with all the liquidators everywhere, because for me, a liquidator is an antithesis of what we do. So what I did was, as I traveled around in different countries around Asia, is hosted a series of drunken dinners and just invited people in that from this background, always covered by Chatham House rules. And we could come together and just talked about transformation. Close the door. How do you deal with corruption in Indonesia? What do you do when you've got to downsize, 10,000 people out of a 100,000 person organization? And these sorts of discussions we could have because there are people doing it.
Yeah.
And out of that, after having these drunken dinners and really fantastic times, we said, look, what do we want to do? And we decided to set up Asia TTA initially. And that was we said, we don't want liquidators. We only want transformational professionals. And it's set up to encourage the exchange of information between and learnings between transformational people and build up the skill sets. So Asia Transformation and Turnaround, ATTA, started and did very well. Then I retired to Australia, and that was about 5 years ago. And as a retiree, I'm a total failure. So sorry about that. And what we did was we started again drunken dinners. And out of the drunken dinners, it was, there were people here. And why it was important is that you as an audience, transformational leaders tend to be alpha males and alpha females and loners. There's something about what we do that tends to move us into this area. And what we found is that when people come together, we can talk differently and talk very quickly about things that mostly you can't talk about. And people that joined AusTTA have talked about finding their family.
Yeah.
You can actually find people that think and feel like you. Isn't that what you feel, Monica?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. That's why I've been with you. So since I started, I haven't left. I've just been, and that's why I stepped into the deputy chair role, because absolutely, it is a family, and it is, about sharing, experiences and helping each other. We focus on that together, and look at how we can make how we can professionalize this more and more, as it evolves, and it's starting to really evolve. To your point, Adam, earlier about COVID, it's really accelerated, the pace of things. So even more now, it's so important that as a community that we come together and support each other through these very turbulent times that, probably not going to end. So,
Monica, can you just quickly talk about some of the education programs we've got going? Because I think that
absolutely,
it's real. What we're talking about is real upgrading of skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started off an education program with the Australian National University, so it's ANU. So we ran that pilot program, and at the end of that pilot program, we decided to go across to QUT, so to the Queensland University of Technology. The reason why we chose that was firstly that the people that were actually running the program had gone to QUT, so we thought, we probably need to have the same leaders there and people that are aligned to our vision and where we're going. So we started another program with QUT, and we're actually in the process of securing dates for other programs with QUT. But really, I didn't attend the ANU one, but I attended the QUT one personally, and the QUT course was great. It really focused a lot on leadership and you as a person, as well as you working with others. So I thought that was really, really valuable skills to have. It also focused on how you actually structure a transformation and how you go through the different phases within a transformation as well. So it is a fantastic course. It was a 6-month course that was a weekend type course. So you went there on a Friday and you stayed for Saturday and Sunday, and then I'm Sydney based, so then I hopped on a plane and came home, sort of thing. So you kind of had these immersion sessions as part of that. So really valuable. Teaches you, like everything I learnt. I use parts of it every day in my roles. So and in my life, teaches really helps you to sort of round you out a bit more as a leader as well. So very valuable, and also great, network. Off the back of that, at that point in time, we didn't have a Queensland chapter for AusTTA, and off the back of that, we established, someone in the course established a Queensland chapter, which is fantastic. So we now have a solid group of transformers in Queensland as well, and since then we've actually broadened out. So we've now got a Sydney chapter lead, which is Ingo, who I think is actually at this session hopefully as well. So we've got Ingo who's heading up that chapter. We've also got a Victorian one as well, which is headed up by a person by the name of Ross. So we've really expanded our reach. We were as Adam said, it was sort of drunken Duncan parties initially, but now we've expanded our reach, more, across all the states within. So we've also got WA as well that we've recently established. So the one missing at the moment is ACT for us, but we're definitely on to ACT as well, and look to establish one in ACT in the shorter term as well. So it's pretty exciting times for AusTTA, and it's great, Adam, that you started it, and Adam's also a fellow of AusTTA as well. So Adam, look, and also, so everyone in the audience, if anyone feels like posting questions, feel free to post questions. More than happy to take questions. I haven't seen any come through yet. I've been watching. So if anyone's got any questions, because, it's not very often you get someone like Adam, available. So feel free to post questions. Look, Adam, I'd really love you to share with us, and you touched on some of this already, but love you to share with us, your top 3 or so lessons that you've learned through leading transformations, and think of it in a way of, like, imagine it was the younger Adam, when you first started doing transformations, what would you want to tell the younger Adam, in terms of some advice, based on some of the lessons you've learned?
First of all, I would say to a younger Adam, this is the best job in the world, so do pursue it. Because you get all the excitement, and you have real meaning and real impact on organizations. And actually, the next step up is that you can't fail. In a transformation, you cannot fail, because by and large, you've got the future of the company in your hands. And so you have to be very ensure that you do succeed, whatever it takes to ensure that you lift and carry them. And the other one is that in leading or being the sort of catalyst for major transformation is you can't have an ego. There's so many egos around, you can't have an ego. What you do need to be is very, very strong, but there's no room for an ego as you manage the complex stakeholder alignment that's required. Next one, again, what are the lessons or life lessons, or what do you need to know, is that the answers to the future of the organization lie in the front line, not in the boardroom. And if you listen to the front line, they're the people who know what's happening with the clients. They're the ones that actually care about the organization, come in every day, tough. And they're the ones, if you can listen properly to them, you can actually take the organization into the future. And it's about culture. And we've talked about that, but technology is an enabler, and the technology availability and what we can do with technology is just mind-blowing. But it's not what it's about. What it's about is, how do you live with it? How do you manage it? It's the human fabric of the organization that makes it work. And that's what you need to work with. And obviously bring in the technology, learn and love the technology, because it is exciting.
Yeah.
But again, best job in the world.
Yeah. And Adam, I'm keen to explore further, just where you said that you have to succeed. Is there anything, can we unpack that a little bit more? Because that's quite a lot of pressure, right? For a transformation leader, that you have to succeed. So talk to us about a little bit more.
So let me just go back. In any organization, there's wave after wave of change. So you've got diversity, you've got agility, you've got various things that have come, you've got cut costs, you've got these waves hitting an organization. Transformation needs to be above that. So the first thing about transformation is you've got to be able to create a story that all these waves are leading to this transformation. And in future, the waves fit into the overall transformation. This is a rebirthing of an organization going forward. And as you rebirth it, you do have to ensure that everybody moves. So by and large, when you're doing these larger transformations, the move from where you are today into the future is non-negotiable. And that's very important that the people leading from the top understand, because if you don't take everyone on that journey and leave some people behind, you lose them. So I did a big change program in PwC, 8,000 people. And the reason was that the partners were just horrible to their staff. and every year the people engagement index had been dropping by 1 to 2%. We went in, and after the work we did, the people engagement index jumped 20%, but we agreed that if you lose one partner, you lose the whole pyramid under that partner. You cannot expect people to change underneath their behaviors, their commitments, their buy-in to a new world, unless you take everybody in.
Yeah.
And so you can actually significantly improve success. I mean, McKinsey talks about 26% success. We're getting over 90% success. You can do it, but you have to be quite tough about it. I'll just give you one key, is that whenever we go into looking in a major transformation, the thing to look at is why it has failed in the past. And unless you can work out how it fails, you're not going to be able to, you'll just fail again. So you need to work out. And sometimes the failure is because the CEO can't lead it. Okay? Put it on the table.
Yeah.
Because turnaround is one thing where you're saving an organization, but we're also working with some organizations that are growing at hyper growth, which is over 40% a year, and some that are growing at what's called blitz scaling, which is over 200% a year. So again, how do you help these companies not blow apart?
Yeah.
They're all the same skills.
So Adam, look, while you've been talking, Alan, I can't say his surname properly, is it? Has posted a question. He'd like to have some advice for organisations who are trying to progress their transformation practice up the value curve.
You do have to add value. There's two areas where you add value. One is the physical value added to the organization by the journey. Now, you can't do it by shouting from the side. You have to co-create that value with the senior leadership team. There's a Chinese expression where they describe a joint venture as one bed, two dreams. In most organizations, you have one strategy and 20 dreams. And until you can get those dreams together, you can't get the engagement coming down. So they've got to dream and see the potential of the change. And the other thing about transformation, which is counterintuitive, the bigger the change, the easier the change. So you can help them dream the change and see the values. So one is the physical values that are there. The second is the value you bring by being the catalyst to ensure that that change is fully implemented. So there's two values there, Alan. Sometimes you need to start off with smaller bites to prove those values and then expand further in the organization.
Perfect.
I'm conscious of time.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Thanks, Alan. Look, I'd like to open up, final question from anyone in the audience or in the summit. If anyone would like to post a final question just as we wrap up. If not, that's absolutely fine. If people think of things after, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to come to you, and we're more than happy to welcome you all as members as well to AusTTA. It doesn't cost much to join AusTTA. You can become an associate member, practicing member, or a fellow member. Associate members, it's basically $150, to become an associate member. And it's you become an associate practicing member, you need to have some case studies. And to become a practicing member, you need to have 3 case studies that you get interviewed as well, peer reviewed. and a fellow is 5 case studies and some education as well. So for those that are interested in AusTTA, we'd absolutely love to have you come and be part of our family and our community. And we hope you've enjoyed hearing from who I would give him legendary status personally, and I will give him legendary status. Adam Salzer, who's an absolute true inspiration to the transformation profession, and look forward to hearing from you again soon, Adam. And thank you so much for being so generous with your time today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you at the AusTTA functions.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. So just quickly, everyone, we'll jump on to the next session. It's the last one of the day. So looking forward to seeing you, but thank you so much, guys, for that conversation. That was fantastic.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam. Bye.
Okay. Bye.